Time to talk some Bucks basketball here on Sports Junkies at RacinSportsZone.com. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer from AM 1250, 105.7 FM The Fan. You can also check out Sparky's Bucks Weekly each week, usually on Monday nights after Admiral Center Ice at 7 o'clock. He, of course, is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times, one of the top NBA insiders around the country. Also, you can catch Gery Woelfel and myself after games on the Milwaukee Bucks Pick It Safe post-game show after each and every Bucks game, again on AM 1250 and 105.7 FM The Fan. All right, Gary, so this Bucks team, defense had gotten better leading into the Golden State game. Mm-hmm. They beat Golden State. They stopped the streak, everything else, and then they come out and lay an absolute horrible egg against the Lakers. Not getting Greg Monroe.
That was one of the ugliest eggs I've ever seen.
No Greg Monroe, so that should be mentioned. Yeah. But even with Greg Monroe, I still don't think they win the game.
Probably not. I mean, it was like their attitude was, hey, we just beat the Golden State Warriors. We're going to rest on our laurels and go from there. And
well, the Lakers had 3 wins. Maybe they thought they could just show up and win.
Absolutely. And, I mean, the Lakers are, like, horrendous. They're not even an average team.
Kobe had one of the better games of his season against the Bucks, of course.
Yeah, yesterday I was looking at point differential, okay? Your average points that you for each team and what you give up, right? The only teams that have a worse point differential, Philly, the Lakers are the only two, and basically the Bucks are tied with the Nets.
And who did Philly get its first win of the year against?
Your boys.
The Lakers.
The Lakers.
Yeah. Who you just lost to.
Right. Yeah, they definitely got issues, and I think, to me, we talked about this on the post-game show. When they play Phoenix, is it Monday night in Phoenix?
No, it's Golden State Friday night.
Right. I don't know. Or Sunday night, whatever they play. To me, that game is going to tell a lot because they should beat Phoenix. If they don't beat Phoenix, they got some issues, and they got to be addressed.
Again, you start talking about Brandon Knight and that Phoenix Suns team. You know Brandon Knight's going to be ready for the Bucks. Go before that, Golden State's talking all kinds of crap about the Bucks after their last game against the Suns. Last night, apparently Michael Carter-Williams threw down a dunk at the end of that game, stared at the bench and started talking trash to the starters on the bench for Golden State. So they were all bringing that back up. Steph Curry said, we were all kind of laughing at what they were doing after the game because they beat us, talking about the confetti and all that stuff, right? Steph Curry goes, obviously it was a big game for them. Well, Friday night's going to be a big game for us. They're going to try to embarrass this Bucks team. And when they do embarrass this Bucks team, they're going to be talking the whole time. This could be ugly on Friday night at Golden State.
I totally agree with you. You know what's really bothering me about the Bucks lately, though, is I don't know if they're still thinking they're playing last season or what, but they have a group of really nice guys. If you talk to them, I think they're very personable, they're polite, but when they get on the court, they transform into different personalities. For example, Michael Carter-Williams, very articulate, soft-spoken. But I've never seen a average player, complain about calls as much as Michael Carter-Williams.
The whole team does.
Exactly.
Greg Monroe does, he does, they all do.
And last night, I just went through the roof. Plumlee was complaining about a call. I mean, if there's a guy that should just be happy to be on the team, be happy on the court.
But you have to understand something.
Plumlee.
And I brought this up last night, and you've got more resources than I do. How many, because Jason Kidd after the game, which he said all year, we have to learn not to foul. Okay, fine. Yeah. But let's talk about the fouling situation, okay? Yeah. How many of their fouls are just not thinking fouls, young team, they'll figure it out later as they get older, not to make some dumb fouls? How much of it is they just don't have respect to the referees yet, and the other teams are getting the benefit of the doubt? Johnny Bryant got called for a foul. I think it was against J.J. Redick. They called him for tripping. They showed the replay. Johnny Bryant did nothing. Nothing. He didn't stick a leg out. He didn't move his knee.
That was
nothing.
Obvious blown call.
It was a horrible call, right?
Right.
But how much of it is that once this Bucks team gets better and competes at a higher level, these whistles are going to stop blowing against this team, versus how much of it is they're just making dumb fouls?
The NBA has forever been a star system league,
yes.
Okay? When it comes to officiating in particular. I mean, Bucks fans, when Moses Malone used to play him, the guy was incredible. He would bang whoever was bobbling it or whatever and get away with it as soon as somebody did something to Moses Malone. I mean, it was bordering on absurd, okay? It's that way today. The star players, I mean, these officials will say, that's Blake Griffin.
But now again, they deny it. I've talked to a couple different refs over the years
Oh,
on
of
our
course,
station and asked about the start. They, no, we treat everybody fair. But they're human beings.
Absolutely.
So you get in respect with these referees, you get more leverage. And at the same point, Dennis Rodman, they will look for anything and everything to call a foul on you and to try and throw you out to get you out of the game, to get you out of their hair.
Now, see, I mean, and it's part reputation. Guys that come in the league, if you're a high pick, for instance, you're supposed to be good, okay? A Jabari Parker, the Greek Freak,
sure.
he's got a national reputation. I think those two guys in particular will be protected as you go down the line.
I agree.
But when you get to these fringe players like Middleton or MCW go right down the line, they're not going to be protected.
Okay, but how about this? I've always heard in my time covering basketball that if you're the aggressive team playing around the rim, you'll get the benefit of the calls. This Bucks team has been going at the rim as hard as most teams have since Mayo's been put into the starting lineup, and they're not getting any calls. They're going in there and getting banged left and right, and they can't get foul calls, Gary.
Yeah, and I'm sure that holds true for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Boston Celtics.
Okay, so we're back to the referees and it being a representation thing. Regardless of who the player is,
you know what?
It's just you're not a very good team, so we're not going to blow the whistle.
Correct. Yeah, they have preconceptions, about players. You know, it's interesting. I don't know if you knew this or not, but the Bucks are one of the few teams, and maybe perhaps the only team, in their locker room, okay, on the whiteboard, they'll say, okay, Giannis is matched up against player X, MCW is matched up. Okay, and then running alongside of those matchup, you know what they have there?
What?
Pictures of the three officials for the game.
Yeah.
Okay? So these guys are familiar who they are, their names.
Their names, right.
So if they get called for a foul, they'll go up and say, hey, Tim, that was a bad call. And these guys, they're like humans. If you can address them on a first-name basis, it gives you a little edge. But in this case, it's not helping the Bucks. But
no question.
It's an interesting perspective in how a team
because you have young players, that don't know these referees. Right. This is a veteran team. Jason Kidd doesn't do that. This is his old Brooklyn Nets team with Garnett and these guys. They all know the referees. I don't have to do this for them. But for the younger guys, you're still trying to teach the younger guys of how to do this.
Right.
One last thing before we wrap this up. The whole strip club incident that they had the night before they played the Lakers on TMZ and all that. I don't care about it. It doesn't bother me. Not bother me in the least bit. Because if you know anything about professional sports or anything about NBA players or whatever, right? These guys go out and they party.
Radio
clubs,
announcers.
Whatever. But they go to clubs. They do strip clubs. Now, when you're at home, married guys go home.
Right.
And the single guys go out to the clubs, whatever, right? When you're on a road trip, married guys and single guys, now they all go out where they don't at home, and they all go out and do their thing. It doesn't matter if you have one win. It doesn't matter if you have 50 wins. It's the same thing every time you're on the road or not. It just doesn't change. And fans just do not want to understand this. Fans think, well, you're not that good. You should stay in your hotel and study your playbook. Well, folks, that's not how it works.
No,
for any team.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. My only issue is if their off-the-court activities interfere with their on-court activities. If it affects their play, I have a real issue with it.
Okay, I'll give you an example then.
Yeah.
Okay? If the Bucks played at noon, I'd say, okay, that's a problem.
Right.
They played at night, 7:30 start in L.A.
And they played the Lakers.
And they played like I said on the postgame show, they could have went out an hour before that game to the strip club. I still would have expected you to beat the Lakers. You could have shown up half in the bag. I would have said, you better still win. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's the Lakers.
Yeah. Does TMZ have their office across from this gentleman's club?
TMZ?
Yeah.
No, but they're all over LA.
Well, they're based in LA. And it's like, I guarantee you, they could have picked out any other team.
Don't care.
It wasn't the Bucks. It could have been any team. They just decided, hey, we're going to...
I'm just glad they know they're a professional basketball team at TMZ. I'm just happy about that. He's Gery Woelfel. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer. We'll talk to you next time here at Sports Junkies at RacinSportsZone.com.